recording.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dwight D. Eisenhower Middle School End of the Year Tour Band Show Concert. My name is Scott Freeby and I'm the Director of Bands here at good old EMS. And there's a couple of wonderful people that I work with that I need to give a shout of thanks to. First and foremost, Mr. Dave Kerwood, who is the Assistant Director during 4th hour. Everybody say, "Hi, Mr. Kerwood!" We love you, Dave! And someone who makes my life so much easier over at Susan B. Anthony, and she has a wonderful son named Kai Reaver, who is right over here. Kai, stand up. There's Kai Reaver. Hi, Kai. I want to give a shout out to Kai Reaver because he is the one that designed this wonderful tour band shirt. Everybody give Kai a round of applause. Thank you, Kai. We also have Miss Nancy Monaco over here, and she is Assistant Director over at Susan B. Anthony, and she's helping out with the stuff that we're doing tonight with the crystal clear recording people. And this is being professionally recorded tonight, and the CDs are going to sell for $13. That covers the cost of the CD plus tax, so you don't have to worry about writing any tax, $13 even. And we really need as many people as possible to buy the CD because we've got to pay for the expense of the professional recording. So this is not a moneymaker for us. We're just trying to break even, basically. So as many people as can buy that CD, we would appreciate it. And if you have grandmas and grandpas, 2 or 3 is okay too. All right. We have some extra T-shirts. They're all sold. Okay, we had some extra T-shirts that got printed up in the lovely pink. Ladies and gentlemen, John Philip Sousa is the composer of this first song that we're going to play for you tonight. It's called "The Fairest of the Fair." And what you have to realize and understand is that John Philip Sousa would take his band from county fair to county fair, and he would play, and there would oftentimes be a contest of the lovely ladies of the county that would come out, and they would see who is the fairest of the fair. Everybody, that's Green Tippin back there. And he is on the trap set drum and doing some imaginative things on there with the sticks and the crash cymbals and everything. And so we're gonna do a little jumping, a little jiving, and a lot of wailing. This is Jump, Jive, and Wail. Is entitled Pop Culture. And it's a fun tune because obviously we have some popular music. For those of you who know the numbers 007, who is that associated with it? Say it now. James Bond! Yeah, the older lady back there was saying, oh, his chest is so hairy. Okay. Yes, it's true. Hairy-chested men. Okay. Now, James Bond 007, we have cool spy music to start off with. And then, where do we go after the James Bond theme? The Magnificent Seven. How many people will remember the bald Yul Brynner? Yes, okay. 2, 3. Okay, 3 people remember Yul Brynner. All right. All the kids are saying, Yul, isn't that like a log? All right. No, Yul Brynner, very handsome man with no hair. Played in the Magnificent Seven, I believe it was. What's our next selection? Meet the Flintstones. Sure. Wilma! You remember Wilma, yes? And Fred and Barney with the both. Now Barney didn't have the bone in his hair. What am I saying? Tough crowd tonight. Tough crowd. All right. What's the next know, the Pink Panther would, start out and he'd shake the tail, He'd have the tail wagging, okay? So you know. Okay, and what else? Peter Gunn. Yeah, you got it, Peter Gunn? Okay. Next. Hey Baby. Yeah, now what we're going to do with Hey Baby, we're going to need a female volunteer from the, okay, we're an older woman, okay. We have a mom volunteer. Yes, come on up. Help us welcome her up. Everyone, help us welcome her up. Okay. Yeah, come around, yes. Mr. Hoyt, our principal, frowns so much on these people, leaping onto the stage. All right, let's see if we can get around here. Why don't you come around this way? All right. Well, what you have to do is you have to come over here by me. So let's just very carefully. Okay. Yes. And why don't you stand right here by the flutes so you can step over? Okay. Yes. All right. There you go. And now the next part of the tune is called Hey Baby. And what you have to do is Hey Baby.
I can't sing.
Well, okay, let's get a pitch. Yeah, you're going to be with the girls. You're going to be singing with the girls. Hey. There you go. Okay, and the girls are going to sing, hey, baby. I'll sing first. I'll be the guys. Hey, let's hear it, guys. Hey. There it is, guys. Yeah. All right. The guys are going to sing, hey, baby, hey. I want to know if you'll be my girl, right? And then the girls are going to take over. And they're going to sing, if you'll be my guy, right? Hey, baby, I want to know if you'll be my guy. Right? You got to sing guy. Okay? All right. And let's just get started and see how it goes. All right? Here we go. Test. Okay, we're going to keep the microphone on, and you'll just hold it out that way. Don't drop it. Mr. Roop is watching. Mr. Roop is watching. Okay, and just keep it away from the band because we'll overpower the microphone with the sound. And then I'll come over and I'll sing first, and then you'll sing second, right? Okay, here we go. I'll go. It's going to be a while, so just hang out and have fun. All right, here it is. Are you ready? And let's tell everyone a lot of your name.
Susan Shearer.
Susan Shearer. we'll have just a little bit more do, or ado. No, that's goodbye. No, we're not leaving yet. We're going to get started with selections from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
name is Jonathan McCamley, and I am the great-great-grandson of Robert McCamley. Today is February 12, 2009, and it is the 200th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln. I've been asked to recreate a lecture given by my great-great-grandfather 100 years ago today, which was delivered in celebration and remembrance of Mr. Lincoln's life and tragic death. These are the words of Robert McCamley, my great-great-grandfather.
Today is February 12, 1909. My name is Robert McCamley. I'm the son of Captain James M. McCamley, who was posted in the company of the 9th Veteran Reserve Corps in 1865. My father was chosen to lead the honor guard that would accompany the bodies of Abraham Lincoln and his son Willie back to their home of Springfield, Illinois, there to rest in peace together after the horrible events of mid-April 1865. I and my sister Elizabeth accompanied my father on this long and solemn train ride, a journey that followed as nearly as possible the route on which the Lincolns came out to Washington for Mr. Lincoln's first inauguration. I'm in my 58th year, and I have asked on this 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth to relate events that took place in April and May with respect to the Lincoln funeral train. As was our custom at the time, my sister and I kept a journal of the events. I shall endeavor to relate our sentiments, be they the sentiments of a 14-year-old girl and the 13-year-old boy, regarding conversations we had with our father, who was a boyhood friend and knowledgeable orator of Mr. Lincoln in his life. Our story begins April 9th, 1865. General Robert E. Lee surrenders his Confederate Army to General Ulysses S. Grant at the village of Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. Lee tells his troops, after 4 years of arduous service marked by unsurpassed courage and fortitude, the Army of Northern Virginia has compelled to yield to overwhelming numbers and resources. On this day, a picture of General Lee was taken. When compared to a picture of the same man on the day he assumed command of the rebel forces, it was plain to see that the world only visited minor infractions upon his countenance. By the same measure, when a photo of Lincoln was compared at the conclusion of the war with one taken in his first term as president, it was obvious to all that the toil and strife faced in this quest to preserve the Union had taken a toll of immeasurable proportion upon his visage. The events of the evening of April 14th are now related. The President and Mrs. Lincoln, although tired, were looking forward to a night out in the town. Abraham and Mary Lincoln were attending a performance of the comedy Our American Cousin, starring Miss Laura Keene at Ford's Theater. Of their presence, the play was briefly interrupted with the strains of Hail to the Chief from the house orchestra. The assassin, John Wilkes Booth, entered the presidential box at sometime just after 10 p.m. and discharged a .44 caliber Derringer pistol at close range into the president's head. After stabbing Major Henry Rathbone, also present with the Lincolns, Booth left to the stage and made his getaway. The mortally wounded Abraham Lincoln, President of these once again United States, was carried to a rooming house across the street from Ford's Theater. The president was taken up the stairs and laid diagonally on the bed that was clearly too short for his tall, gangly frame. The vigil was kept through the night with many visitors. At 7:22 the next morning, Surgeon General Joseph K. Barnes crossed his still warm hands over Lincoln's motionless chest. Secretary of War Edwin Stanton spoke the words, "Now he belongs to the ages." By 7:30 a.m., word had passed to the area churches. And the first news to the general public of Lincoln's death was conveyed by the melancholy melody of tolling bells. The remorse and sadness that ensued was reflected in the very faces of people and architecture alike. Ford's Theater was draped in black. The flag flowed half-staff from the Capitol. In a funeral procession down Pennsylvania Avenue, members of Washington's black community held hands and marched in tribute to the great emancipator. Noah Brooks, about to own Lincoln's new secretary, related that there was an extraordinary spectacle of people crowding the streets, men, women, and children thronging the pavements and darkening the thoroughfares. It seemed as if everybody was in tears. The time had come to bear him home again. Lincoln's funeral train was dubbed the Lincoln Special. His portrait was fastened to the front of the engine above the cattle guard. Approximately 300 big words accompanied Lincoln's body and that of his son, Willie, on the 164 mile journey back to Springfield. I take up now the reading of journal entries made by my sister Elizabeth and myself at the ages of 13 and 14 respectively.
April 21st, 1865. A large crowd of people standing marched as the honor guard, my father among them, placed the coffin of Abraham Lincoln on the funeral train. To tell you the truth, this story makes me nervous. We journeyed to return the bodies of Mr. Lincoln and his son, Willie, to their final resting place. Willie had died a few years back, and the Lincolns were waiting until Mr. Lincoln wasn't the president anymore to take him home to Springfield. Mr. Lincoln, 16th President of these United States, was shot and killed by a famous actor named John Wilkes Booth. Booth will be famous everywhere in the worst way now. It was this past April 14th, Good Friday. The Lincolns had gone to Ford's Theater to see a play. The scoundrel Booth came in the box where they were sitting and shot him right in the back of the head. Ford, defenseless Mr. Lincoln, was just watching the play.
April 21st, 1865, an honor guard was posted. The funeral train was ready to depart Washington. This has been the first time I traveled by rail. I'm gonna say that the music nation of lights I've never seen before. Various arrays of pastel colors flourished in the communities of flowers. Wildflowers and the tree on the sky. Green shimmering trees slowly waved their new leaves in solemn respect. Having departed at 8 in the morning, we arrived in Baltimore at 10. 4 yards, Mr. Lincoln's coffin was opened for the with the scene. The train departed at 3 from the Street station. We traveled to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania by 8 p.m. Pulling into the station, everything was silent. Only the sounds of the engine and the clack of the tracks was filled in the air. Sometimes the silence would be broken by the somber sound of bells tolling the churches and courthouses.
April 22nd, 1865. This morning at 10, many people lined the streets of the city to watch Mr. Lincoln's coffin carried back to the depot. We departed almost an hour later at 11:15 to journey over the Pennsylvania Railroad to Philadelphia, arriving at 4:30 p.m. Our hearse took the coffin through the throngs of people to Independence Hall, where viewing was by invitation only. As I looked upon the sea of faces, most were filled with grief and wet with tears. Some stood with hands on hearts while others knelt in prayer.
April 22nd, 1865. We are underway again. Right now, my father, my sister, and I are on the train passing through the country. We have passed many towns already. Great archways erected over the tracks with black the predominant color of every person is building and every building's front. Color is dominant in the sea of flower petals that are heaped by the armload upon the tracks.
1865. It is of interest that my father knew Mr. Lincoln personally since his boyhood. He said that he and Mr. Lincoln had grown up in the same area of Indiana and that neither of them had attended much school at that time. Although father would later attend school on a regular basis, he said that Mr. Lincoln never really had that chance. Papa said that he and Mr. Lincoln did share a talent for storytelling. Once, when father and Mr. Lincoln were trying to learn their sums without any books to teach them, they had to use sticks and acorns. Father said that they noticed that the local squirrels weren't too happy about sharing the contents of their next meal for the purposes of their learning. Mr. Lincoln was a man of the people who grew up poor, taught himself to read and write, and went on to serve others through a successful law practice and to hold offices at the state and national level. Father said that, like himself, Mr. Lincoln opposed slavery and that he was an honorable man shown by his personal convictions and honesty. Papa said that Mr. Lincoln had once said of slavery, "Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally." Papa was also fond of another of Mr. Lincoln's sayings. "No matter how much cats bite, there always seem to be plenty of kittens."
sister in childbirth when he was 18. The love of his life, Miss Ann Rutledge, when he was 26. The deaths of 3-year-old Eddie and 11-year-old Willie. And the deaths of many Union and Confederate soldiers in the war. Father also spoke of Abraham's angel. You see, after his mother died, his father married a kind and caring woman named Sarah Liz Johnston. Abraham loved his new stepmother, who encouraged him in his schoolwork and was always kind to him. He called her his angel, which I think says a lot about her character. She said of her stepson that he was always caring towards her, and that she knew he truly Father told us that there are some wounds in life you'll never fully heal from, but you should never wish yourself to forget the experience. We have scars to remind us that life goes on, and we must overcome whatever obstacles are placed in front of us, just as Mr. Lincoln had done. I hope that we can do as Mr. Lincoln had shown us how to do. April 24th, 1865, departed at 4 in the morning, arrived Jersey City and made it to New York via a ferry boat. The New York funeral procession was on the grandest of scales.
April 25th, 1865. Father said that there was a picture taken at the New York City Hall viewing. To date, no pictures have been allowed of the president in his coffin. Father seemed upset by the notion.
April 26th, at noon there was a special procession for Mr. Lincoln in Albany. His coffin was drawn by 6 white horses. We headed for Buffalo at 4 p.m.
There was a grand arch we passed under at or near Sing Sing, New York.
April 27th, we arrived in Buffalo at 7 a.m. with the grand procession performed at 8 a.m.
April 27th. The funeral was orderly with an immense number of people along the line of march, filling all available spaces. The businesses were closed, and every window and housetop was filled and covered with a mass of human beings. At 8:15 p.m., the coffin was moved back to the depot where a large body of citizens followed to the last point, straining to see the coffin put aboard the funeral car, United States.
The train departed at 10:10 for Ohio.
April 28th. At 7 a.m., we arrived in Cleveland where the coffin was transported in a hearse to the public park where it took 15 hours for viewing the late president.
Saturday, April 29th, 1865, we left Cleveland at midnight and headed towards Columbus. We arrived at 7:30 a.m., at which time the coffin was carried in a 17-foot-long hearse by procession to the state capitol building. When we got there, 8 members of the Veteran Guard carried the coffin on their shoulders to the rotunda of the Ohio State House. Once again, after a public viewing, we left at 8 p.m. headed for Indianapolis.
April 30th. Shortly after 7 a.m., the coffin was borne to the Indiana State House in a hearse with a silver gilt eagle on top of it. Even though there had been rain on our journey every day, it was so heavy here that the huge procession was canceled and the entire day was dedicated to viewing the late president. We departed Indianapolis for Chicago late in the evening.
Monday, May 1st, 1865, we arrived at 11 a.m. The train car carrying the president was surrounded by the honor guard. Chicago's procession for Mr. Lincoln was eagle and grandeur to New York's. The viewing opened at 6 p.m. and lasted through the night and all into the next day. Elizabeth and I are exhausted and weary of travel as there is much to do for the funeral procession.
Tuesday, May 2nd, 1865. Today was another tiring day. Many mourners were upset by the body's discoloration, which had been noticeable in New York, but was now distressing the general public. At 8 p.m., the coffin was carried by hearse to the depot where it would journey to its final destination, Springfield.
Wednesday, May 3rd, 1865, we reached Mr. Lincoln's hometown today, which was a relief. Shortly after 10 a.m., the mourners were permitted to see the coffin. There were so many, they spilled up to the rooftops. Inside the State House, the large room was awash with people, yet as quiet as if it were empty. Father said that the mourners even gathered at the Lincoln home where his horse old Bob and his dog Fido had been brought back for the people to view.
Thursday, May 4th. Today was the funeral for Mr. Lincoln, the final and official one. At 10 a.m., the undertaker and embalmer prepared his body for burial. The coffin was carried to a fancy gold, silver, and crystal hearse and then conveyed down the long route to the Oak Ridge Cemetery. Old Bob, Mr. Lincoln's horse, followed the hearse wearing a mourning blanket. The only blood relatives who attended his funeral today were his son, Robert, and his cousin, John Hanks. Mrs. Lincoln was still in mourning back at the White House. Willie's little coffin was also there to be buried with his father. The funeral oration was given by Bishop Matthew Simpson, and when he was finished, Dr. Phineas Densmore Gurley read the benediction. We then all watched as the iron gates of the wooden doors of the tomb were closed and locked. It was finally over.
That was a look at the last century of our train ride home to Springfield. What followed were hard years of weekly construction wood saw, structures were built that found little true progress in building unity of the nation. As the years have creeped on, brother forgave brother, and a unity, however continuous, began to form. Our African brothers and sisters to this day are yet unable to enjoy the true freedoms envisioned by the words of our founding fathers, that all men are created equal. But we shall work on that by and by until the day will come when freedom and respect for all is truly realized. We shall continue this work unifying the hearts and minds of countrymen that Lincoln has thus so far nobly advanced. Indeed, there shall come a day when the words of Lincoln and Gettysburg shall penetrate the hearts and minds of all. That we are resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
I thank you for your attention to my great-great-grandfather's words regarding his and my great-great-aunt's most interesting train ride. I wish to conclude with the words of Robert G. Ingersoll. Ingersoll was an Illinois lawyer who served as a colonel in the Union Army and as Attorney General of Illinois. He was also a well-known orator. Lincoln was a many-sided man, acquainted with smiles and tears, complex in brain, single in heart, direct as light, and his words, candid as mirrors, gave the perfect image of his thought. He was never afraid to ask, never too dignified to admit that he did not know. No man had keener wit or kinder humor. He was severe with himself, and for that reason, lenient with others. Almost ashamed of tenderness, he said and did the noblest words and deeds with that charming confusion, that awkwardness, that is the perfect grace of modesty. He cared nothing for place, but everything for principle. Nothing for money, but everything for independence. He knew that slavery had defenders, but no defense, and that they who attack the right must wound themselves. It is the glory of Lincoln that having almost absolute power, he never abused it, except upon the side of mercy. Wealth cannot purchase, power cannot all this divine, this loving man. He knew no fear except the fear of doing wrong, hating slavery, pitying the master, seeking to conquer not persons but prejudices. He was the embodiment of self-denial, the courage, the hope, and the nobility of a nation. He spoke not to inflame, not to upbraid, but to convince. Lincoln was the grandest figure of the fiercest Civil War. He is the gentlest memory of our world.
Thank you to Lauren Shepard. Thank you to all the band. Band, please stand up. Please stand up. Thank you very much for supporting your kids and for helping them to get their at-home practicing done. I appreciate that very much. A reminder that portfolios were due last Friday, and we're hopeful to get all the portfolios turned in tomorrow. Yes, we still have about 35 out. Okay, so about 35 of these young people need to get their portfolios turned in. We've said that. Also, we're going to need some help with stacking the chairs over here, maybe letting the band kids grab a cookie first, and we're going to need to get all of the chairs that are on the stage also stacked on there, and all of the equipment back to the room. We desperately need you to buy the CD if you can. It's $13, and there's a sign-up sheet over here at the side. If you want to make the checks payable to Dwight D. Eisenhower Middle School and have your son or daughter bring them tomorrow, that's okay. If you don't have it tonight, bring it tomorrow, that's okay. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you coming out tonight.